Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are finally back after the long-awaited delay of Sumeru's release. We are back to reading Genshin Impact weapon and artifact lore. It has been a while since I've jumped into reading weapons and artifact lore. I think it was version 2.7, right before the Golden Apple Archipelago patch released for 2.8. And a lot of things have happened. I am caught up with all in-game content as of version 3.3, and I want to take the next month, the next opportunity of the next month before 3.4 comes out with Yao Yao, Alhaitham, Lantern Rite, potentially a new region, to get some of this backlog cleared off my plate, get you guys up to date with a lot of the lore and stuff that you guys have been looking forward to these streams to learn alongside me, and I really appreciate that. So rather than go back to the Serenity Pot to read out the lore, you know, at the desk, I felt like it was more appropriate this time around to come to the location in question. And depending on what artifact and weapon lores I read, I kind of want to do that similar to how we go to a different location when we read character lore, like when we get a character to Friendship 6. So we are in Dragonspine because at the time of this recording, the Google Doc has been updated slightly to account for the reading session that I'm going to be doing today. The link will also be provided in all of the respective videos whenever this goes up on YouTube. But just as a quick reminder, because it has been a few months, several actually, since we last did this, I have gone through all of the 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star weapons and artifacts. We went through the weapon lore readings for the Wanderer's Troop. We went through the lore readings for the Knights of Old, which features the Knights of Favonius 500 years ago with Rostam, Arendolan, as well as the Crimson Witch of Flame, which covered Rosalind's backstory. We went through the Lawrence clan, which covered obviously the Lawrence clan during the aristocratic era. And the last thing we got through was the Gunhildr clan of Jean's family biography of her mother, her father, and kind of like the Gunhildr standings and all of that. So where we are currently, we are actually at Sol of Vindagnir. Over the next couple of sessions, we're going to be going through the rest of Mondstadt's lore, which is going to focus on a bunch of different things, a bunch of different weapons and artifact sets, and then we go into Liyue and Inazuma, and then a bunch of miscellaneous things, and eventually we'll get to Sumeru by the time we're done with this entire thing. But as you can see, there is a lot of stuff to cover, and we haven't even added any of the Sumeru stuff yet. So we are going to be starting with the Sacrificial Greatsword, then Blizzard Strayer, Star Tomb Snow Silver, Snow Tomb Star Silver, I said that backwards, Frostbearer, and we have a bunch of other things that I'm going to be going through, as well as going through different areas and locations throughout Dragonspine that have a bit of lore throughout the mountain ranges itself. So we are starting at the Sacrificial Greatsword, a ceremonial greatsword that has become petrified over time. The trinkets on it are still visible. It grants the wielder the power to withstand the winds of time. That's an Istaroth reference if I've ever heard one. It's like a Venti Istaroth reference. More Istaroth than anything, but grants the wielder the power to withstand the winds of time. Interesting. On the cliff facing the eastern sea, the ancestors worship the masters of time and Animo together. The two are intimately related, as expressed in the saying, Animo brings stories while time nurtures them. The sword tells a story of war and was used in the enactment of war tales. Originally just a prop, its blades have been hardened by the passage of time. This sword belonged to the Imunlauker clan, a clan of brave and gifted warriors who fought hard and died young. In sacrificial ceremonies, they would enact duels between brave warriors stained black with blood. In the eyes of the Imunlauker clan, combat existed not for protection, for glory, or for gaining territory. Rather, it was for the amusement of the gods, high up in the heavens, for whom little else could serve to entertain. Monsters and outlaws, they fought them all the same with no regard to whether this time they would return to their beloveds afterwards. For none of that mattered. What mattered was the roar, loud and clear in the heat of bloody battle. It was duty fulfilled. Such hot blood running through the veins should not have been conducive in the long history of the Imunlauker clan, for their fight was one without end and without hope of victory. And yet, as the snow slowly melted and Mondstadt began to take shape, gradually they realized they had found something to fight for at last. Damn. I really fucking hope I said this in my Winter Nights Lazo trailer reaction. I really hope Capitano is Emun Lauker. It just sounds like they're a bunch of fucking, like, barbarians. The way that I think of them, it sounds like they're just, like, Viking warriors who fight for glory and for the thrill of fighting. And it sounds like they just go absolutely batshit berserk. If Capitano is actually rank 1 of the Harbingers, I would expect him to just be on another level completely, if that's in fact the case. He's going to be in Natlin in 2 years. We'll see him. He had a run-in with Grandmaster Varka during the Vine Lesa Festival sequence with the letter that he returned back with Mika. Fuck, man. I really, really hope that's him because we never found out what happened to him. I feel like at this point, the freaking Fatui Harbingers are all based on people who are hundreds of years old, with the exception of Child, maybe. But like Piero, Dottore, Rosalind, Scaramouche, these motherfuckers are hundreds of years old, which is wild. This was a great description, and it also mentions the cliff to the eastern sea. I think that's actually Stormbearer Mountain. Like, it overlooks the Temple of Time, so I wonder if that's what it's referring to. Because there are people over there that watch over the seas and, like, worship the Animal Archon as a result, so that'd be kind of cool. Next up, we have the Blizzard Strayers set. So we're gonna be starting at the Goblet here. Frost-weaved Dignity, a cup carved out of ice that is as chilly and biting as winter. Its former master would drink an unfreezable liquor from it. From the Outlander who once searched for hope in midwinter on another's behalf. So that's definitely referring to Eamon Lauker, looking for help after, like, this place was ravaged by the changing climate. Even the glass he drank from was carved out of ice. Drinking bitter wine in this glass would feel like swallowing icicles that stung every inch of one's throat. Ordinary people would struggle to enjoy the sensation, but this reticent hero relished it. He was a warrior as silent as the ice itself, blocking the frigid winds that descended from the stars with his body. Not content with merely being protected, the maiden who painted left the man she admired these last instructions. If fear or despair, both of which are within our nature, should crush you or cause you to never return, then please live on. Do not accompany us unto our doom, to languish forgotten in the snow. Taking another swig of bitter wine to steel himself for the journey, he turned away from the maiden's wet eyes, and he would set out on an unending pursuit towards the land of snow and profundity. I'm wondering if that's referring to the Mondstadt when it was encased in snow, like when it was covered in snow and ice, or if it's referring to Snezhnaya. If he went to Snezhnaya, and he's no stranger to ice and snow, hunkering down in Solvendagnir, drinking beverages that are colder than ice, and just going to Snezhnaya and maybe becoming a Harbinger. I really hope that it actually is Capitano. I'm gonna say this until it's deconfirmed, but I really want that to be the case. I believe the woman that they're referring to here, the maiden, is the princess that was referred to in the princess's box when we first came here to Dragonspine. I don't really know a whole lot about her. I know bits and pieces, but obviously as we get through this, I'll learn a little bit more. So the princess was fond of Emunlauker. He had to leave to try to find a way to save the falling civilization after it was struck with a Celestian nail, and the frost-bearing tree ended up dying, and then the place was terraformed with permafrost ice, and it changed everything around them. So I think he left to go and get help, and then by the time he came back, everyone was already dead. Next up, we got the plume. Icebreaker's Resolve. A feather that exudes a chilly aura. One can almost feel the turbulent winds that brought it here, wailing over snow-covered plains and between frosty peaks. A feather of a bird of prey that does not originally belong to the winter chill. It is cold to the touch, but when you do touch it, it is as if you can hear cries in the snowstorm, unbowed but breathed of hope. With no nest or shelter, the bird faces the storms proudly. This feather has been assailed with coalesced ice and snow, leaving it covered in pearls of frost. It once came from a falcon in flight and was plucked violently from the bird by the frigid winds. Maybe that's a Vanessa reference. The Falcon of the West. It drifted a while in the air before the weight of the frost dragged it back to the ground. I believe that the lively bird will follow you and return to the garden of the summer place, now green once once more. Those who have been chased away by the chilling tides and those children who have lost their homes, they will return with you to the home of their dreams. The hero, bearing such great burdens on his back, halted in the whipping snow, struggling to discern the color of this feather. Sealed in ice, that feather's color faded every step of the way, just like the hero's task. So I guess Emunlauker was trekking through the snow, still trying to find help. Mondstadt was an ice age back then, so if he's traveling from Solvendagnir down to like what is now known as like the Mondstadt area, he came across a bird and like a bird's feather that was unbeknownst to this place, and I guess it kind of gave him a sense of like the task at hand that he had to face. It was just like a moment in time for him. Next up, we have the Saiyans. Frozen homeland's demise, a timepiece from a nation of old that waited for their warrior's return. What flows inside is not sand, but bits of ice that never melt. An ancient hourglass with fine powdered snow flowing in it. Even the coldest winter cannot freeze the flow of time. Istaroth? Time constantly. Jesus. The cold that descends from the sky can freeze time itself. This myth was widely believed throughout the entombed mountain city. As the hero reached the top of the wall of wind and ice, the night was descending and the snowstorm was howling. Neither sun nor moonlight could pierce this white wind easily. Even the bleakest storm cannot freeze the river of time. That will not wither even if buried deep below the snow. And even the most formidable hero will one day be forgotten. Damn. Unlucky, bro. Yeah, sun and moon's being mentioned. I'm starting to sweat, chat. All right, circlets next. Broken Rhine's Echo. The crown of an ancient hero who dreamt of conquering the cold. It is proof of its former master's bravery in facing the bone-chilling cold of winter. So, the Blizzard Strayer set, it belongs to Emunlauker, I assume. So this man was Cryo. Capitano has a Cryo vision. I'm just saying. I don't know. It would be interesting if he had a Cryo vision. And what's the opposite of Cryo? Pyro. And where is he right now? Natlin. And what nation is that? The nation of Pyro. So it's a cool parallel opposite if that's actually the case. Just saying. I'm huffing the Capitano copium. The hero set out on his journey, bearing the tiny hopes that the entombed city still had for salvation. Donning his winter crown, he marched purposefully away, disappearing in the boundless snowstorm. Bearing his agreement with the mountain city, bearing their clear-eyed gaze, the hero never once feared the unknown beyond the icy curtain, the once lush mountainside, and the blessings that now no longer fell from the skies. Ah, I see. These were the hero's motivations to carry on no matter what. The blessings that would no longer fall from the skies. That reminds me of the monument inside of that one area. Actually, you know what? I'll show you right now. It mentioned that no longer would the lands be lush with green, which is this one right here, and no longer would the blessings fall from the heavens. And that's what this monument seems to indicate right here, that Celestia bestowed Solvendagnir with blessings. Something happened, and then they were just like, nah, chief. And they hit them with the freaking nail, which destroyed the Irminsul tree that was here, the frost-bearing tree, and fucked everything up for these people. Past the ice-sealed door, walking down the corridors of the depths, you will break off a branch of silver white and bring hope to the snowy lands. The maiden sang these songs to comfort her people, and she nursed her memories of him. She believed that he would return to her, to genial springtime and unshakable hopes in his train. But in the end, the hero who stepped out into the snow would not return in time. He would stand accused of flight by hateful words long ground to dust amidst the snowstorms. So this man leaves to go and try to find help while this place is like falling apart by the elements. And I guess people thought he just left them behind and he just like saved himself. People basically called him like a traitor and accused him of fleeing. And so when he came back, everyone was already dead. So that's really unfortunate. Snowswept Memories, a long extinct flower covered in beads of frost that once grew on the glaciers. There was a time when even the proudest and most arrogant warriors bowed before it. This is a flower of Everfrost, plucked by a pair of gentle hands. It must have given a certain someone the strength to see winter as a warm embrace. This fourth fresco is prepared for you. Your likeness will forever remain on these walls. For the sake of that fresco and for everyone's sake, I will wait for you and pray for your return. For those who don't know, a fresco is a painting. The maiden stood before a blank wall and smiled. She pinned a small flower to the hero's breast. That was an elegant and unruffled fellow who would not bat an eyelid, not even in the face of death itself. The heroism of the icebreaker was forgotten, buried in the storms of the north. That sounds like Snezhnaya. Snezhnaya is in the north. Unless they mean north of Dragonspine, which would have been where Mondstadt is, if all of that was just ice and snow back in the day. But the north is also capitalized, which implies a proper location. So again, don't know if it's Snezhnaya or Mondstadt they're referring to. Like, this is pre-Barbados era of Mondstadt. So this is when Decarabian was still in power and Andreas was kind of like acting up and basically permafroze the entire terrain. Since then, the snow has melted, but this flower has not withered. Damn, man. We just got a bunch of like Emunlauker perspective on like what happened from his perspective of leaving to find help while this place just kind of like went down under, you know, without him being present to help anybody. We have the Snow Tomb Star Silver, which I assume is Emunlauker's signature weapon. An ancient greatsword that was stored between frescoes. Forged from Star Silver, it has the power to cleave through ice and snow. When the verdant city was sealed by cloud and mist, when the unending snowstorms blotted out the clear moonlight, when all life and every interrupted story was pierced by that nail that fell from the azure skies. The priest's daughter gave the Star Silver Greatsword to the hero from another land. So the priest is the father, the princess is the daughter. There is a scribe as well, and I believe the scribe's name is Uko, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. The priest's daughter gave the Star Silver Greatsword to the hero from another land. In the howling wind and snow, her words could not reach their intended target. This fourth fresco is prepared for you. Your likeness will forever remain on these walls. For the sake of that fresco and for everyone, I will wait for you and pray for your return. That was mentioned on one of the artifacts. When the daughter of that snow-entombed city withered together with the grafted yet barren silver branches, the outlander destined to wield that sword to shatter ice and snow alike was far afield, chasing answers. Bright as the moonlight though she was, her final words too would never reach that wayfarer. It's been a while since I last saw the blue skies and green grass. I don't know which hues to use to capture the landscape of thawing ice and snow that my father so longed for. I wish I could see you again. This was the answer he found. The hero ended his fruitless journey at last. Tainted black blood dripped from the blade of his greatsword as he trudged through now foreign snowy paths. But when he returned to the great halls of the mountain country, nigh but ringing deathly echoes welcomed him. Sounds like he was fighting Abyss. So even here, there is nothing left for me to protect. You who dwelt in the heavens, you must wish for naught but to watch our ashen suffering here below. In this case, then let me help you pass the time with a song of iron and blood. The Outlander left the Star Silver originally meant to shatter snow and wind alike between the frescoes. Then he descended the mountains to search for a land full of war and strife. A place he might paint red with blood. Not to reiterate, but Natlin is the nation of war, and Capitano is in Natlin. I'm probably annoying some people right now, but I'm like, I've never been more like hopeful in my life that something I want actually comes to pass. So yeah, he basically came back from his journey, found out everyone was dead, realized that all of this happened because the Skyfrost nail destroyed the Irminsul tree and turned this place into like a perpetual winter wonder hell for them. And he left to find help, couldn't find help, came back. Everyone he knows is dead, realizes Celestia did it. He's like, all right, that's how you want to play? That's how we'll play. Left his sword and then he dipped. Another reason to join the Fatui, the enemy of my enemy. I hope we see Emunlauker, even if it's not Capitano, but I feel like what better reason for a member of the fallen freaking civilization smited by Celestia themselves to join up, similar to Conria and Piero. The thing too is that Solvin Dagnir fell before Conria did. He just had to kind of like chill, you know what I mean? And I don't know if he's still alive. I don't know what would have caused him to extend his life, because his sword, not his sword, but the Sacrificial Sword, which is based and mentioned a reference of like the founders of the Emunlauker clan, mentions that this weapon grants the power to withstand the winds of time. So does this weapon let you not age or something like that? You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if there's any type of special properties amongst the Emunlauker clan where they can live longer than the average human. Okay, so now we have the Frostbearer. This is the last one in the set here. After this, we're gonna get into some extra little bits of lore for Solvin Dagnir based on external things outside of weapons and artifacts. So, a fruit that possesses a strange frosty will. A faint sense of agony emanates from it. That's not good. When the daughter of the priestess of Solvin Dagnir was born beneath this white tree, the kingdom of the Verdant Mountains was filled with joy when she received her blessing. Surely, the blessing of Solvin Dagnir would be everlasting, just as the undying silver-white tree whose roots pierce the earth. She was born under the frost-bearing tree. What could possibly go wrong? That was the hope of those who wrote the annals of the Mountain Kingdom. Those who had recorded the tales of countless people and events believed this in their hearts, that the beauty and skill of this princess would be as eternal and pure as the moonlight. When the nail that froze the world descended suddenly, and that tree too would be shattered by it, the girl took the most complete branch, thinking to breathe new life into the tree that once overshadowed a nation, but in the end, the grifted life would not flourish. The cutting snowstorm eventually covered the moonlight like a curtain of countless blades. A long, long time later, yet still long ago, when the death match between the dragons of darkness and wind was decided at last, when the corrosive blood stained the ashen valley red, the tree at last remembered that it had not died with that entombed city, and it extended its greedy roots towards the warmth ichor that irrigated the land. Basically, what this is saying is that this girl was born, she was blessed. People thought this was a good thing for their nation, that she was going to bring prosperity and a new age to the nation. Turns out that wasn't the case. The Skyfrost nail hits this place, split the freaking Irminsul, killed it in the process. This girl tried to revive it with the branch, basically tried pulling a Ruka Devata. She took like the most complete branch, tried to create a new tree, didn't work, everyone died, and then hundreds of years later, Dvalin and Durin have their matchup with Barbados. They kill Durin, he dies over the mountain, and then because of his blood, it revitalized the frost-bearing tree. And so it revived the tree, as it does also revive other things in the world, or rather similar to how it revives other things through its blood, similar to like the Albedo events that we've gotten, like the Whopper Flower and the Reggie's Vine from the 2 Albedo events. Because a certain someone poured out a crimson essence upon it, the tree that should have long died remembered its past and bore a single fruit from the coalescence of all its might. Here, for those who dwelt in my safe shadow, for the priests who eulogized me, for that lovely maiden who oft painted upon my form, for all the happiness they could not possess, I enjoined them all into this crimson icy fruit. To the one who can render recompense upon this poisonous world shall it go, and may they carry my innocent bitter fruit as they enact justice. I wonder if this is from Emunlauker's perspective. The fruits of all of Solvin Dagnir coalesced into this one thing. This was a fruit that was bore from the Irminsul tree, which is interesting. We are going to be checking out the princess's box, the priest's box, and the scribe's box. This is a screenshot of my version 1.2 playthrough during the time when Dragonspine was originally released. There is no way to get these items again because I used these items to redeem them to get into one of the rooms in Dragonspine. I'm adding the priest box, the scribe's box, and the princess's box because it has a little bit of extra description and flavor text here for all of this. So we're going to start with the princess's box. A treasure box with a decorative pattern at the bottom. The ornaments seem to be part of a 3-piece motif. Once the pattern is complete, a certain door may open. I'm afraid I can't finish the fresco. It's been a while since I last saw the blue skies and green grass. I don't know which hues I could use to capture the landscape of thawing snow and ice that my father so longed for. By the time he comes back, everything will be how it was. But I can't take this cold anymore. Here's something that you guys probably don't know. This next passage is mistranslated. In version 1.2, it says, "Forgive me, Father. Forgive my buffoonery. Emunlauker, I wish I could see you again." However, there was a patch that fixed this, and it actually says, "Forgive me, Father, comma, Uko, forgive my buffoonery. Emunlauker, I wish I could see you again." It mentions her father, who is the priest, but it also mentions Uko, who is the scribe. And Uko is important because we'll talk about that in a little bit. I found out a little while ago, because this is a screenshot of 1.2, it has the translation because it wasn't updated at the time, but it does mention Uko in this if you still have it or if you were to play the game now. The priest's box. I'm gonna skip that first passage because we don't need that anymore. I thought that the young person who grew strong and vital like cypresses, but these cypresses are about to wither. Their voices won't be carried by the wind anymore. My expectations towards them, as well as faith they have in me, will all fall through. Once again, I climb this peak looking for guidance. By the time I'm back down, my daughter will have finished the second painting. As long as the third one will be of thawing ice and snow, everything will be fine. So what's basically being depicted here is like Skyfrost Nail falls from Celestia. Everything's fucked up. The father is like, what the hell is going on? I need to go and find answers because they used to get blessings from Celestia. So he goes up to the mountain peak. In the meantime, it turns out that the daughter has the ability to see into the future, or she has visions, and those visions are depicted in the form of paintings. And so what the father is hoping for is, hey, I'm gonna go up to this mountain and I'm gonna see if I can get answers from Celestia, even if they're not talking to us anymore. In the meantime, I pray that you have a vision of this snow and ice thawing out, because if not, we're in trouble. So that's essentially what's happening here. She's painting out her visions and he's going up to look for answers, and he hopes it thaws out, but we all know what happens. And so that one is from the perspective of her father, the priest, and now the third one is from the perspective of the scribe, also known as Uko. So this one says, I yearn for those frosty skies to stand in flames and burn until there's no living soul in the world. I yearn for us to turn to dust, carried by the wind, so that we could find that outlander who abandoned the priestess. Uko thinks that Imunlauker abandoned all of them, when in truth, he actually went to go look for help. I yearn for the black dragon from the princess's dreams to engulf the land in a cloud of scarlet poison. The princess had visions of Durin, which again, Durin didn't happen for way after this, so she was getting visions from hundreds, if not thousands of years in the future, which is pretty crazy. For I am the last one. There's no need to keep watching any longer. I've heard of people who are building a new nation without gods. Perhaps they'll have the power to stand against this world. The earliest talks of Khaenri'ah's development were being had back then. So back then, Khaenri'ah wasn't a thing. It was like a concept. It wasn't even like a thing that was established. But even the scribe heard about, hey, I heard that there's this place that people are making made by only humans with no gods. I wonder if they'll be able to take on Celestia. Well, we all know what happened there too, chat. I don't know if you want to go around thinking that, like, hey, maybe we can take down Celestia, because Solvin Dagnir got smited and Khaenri'ah did shortly after, several hundred years down the line. So unlucky, bro. We went through all the weapons, we went through all the artifacts, we went through the 3 boxes. I'm actually going to take you guys through the 8 carvings that are located throughout Dragonspine. They give a little bit of context to what's already mentioned, but I figured I want to be thorough with this. So if you guys remember, there are 8 of these stone carvings which activate these 8 different mechanisms which open the door so you can get the free 4-star claymore. And it also shows the frescoes of Celestia's blessings and everything else that happened in the aftermath and whatnot. So I'm going to go through all 8 locations, and this is the first, and it says, its soul and star silver its blood, but the one who could wield it, the ice-breaking outlander Imunlauker. These are all also like unfinished, so they're all like little bits and pieces of text that have been mentioning like different things throughout the mountain. All right, second one is actually right here. Tempted to heal the ley lines, but the tree had already withered. After burying the princess, ellipsis. Yeah, so this is probably like a recount. Actually, you know what? I actually think it's the scribe that's leaving these here, because he's the scribe, similar to I'll Hate Them. He's supposed to record and recount events that have happened here and like log all of the information. So Uko was the last person alive, the last person, I guess, to die in Solvin Dagnir, and so it would make sense for him to be the one to leave all of these monuments and mentions throughout the area. All right, here is the 3rd ancient carving. Without result or reply, Varuch proceeded onto the summit. So Varuch is the name of the priest, which is the father of the princess. I don't know the princess's name, if she has a name, or if I just don't know it yet. The 4th tablet is right here. Snow whipped across the skies. The pillar that fell from the heavens was riven in 3. And unfortunately, one of those pieces struck the Irminsul tree and fucked everything for these people. Actually, I would say the people were probably as blessed as they were because of that Irminsul tree being here, to be honest. I feel like that was like a major contributing factor to their prosperity. And then the second that tree got smited, everything changed. Not to mention, the daughter, the princess, was born beneath the Irminsul tree, which would probably explain, right? Because Irminsul can log information of all of Teyvat. So it would make sense why she was able to see the future of Teyvat because she was born under that tree, because that, like, based on that level of blessing, which is kind of interesting. Far from snow and strife, and came upon this verdant paradise, a monument was laid down in this place, and it was called Sal Vindagnir. So it's basically giving, also really quick, just reading a little bit of the flavor text of this place. Peak of Salvindagnir. This city entombed in snow once had a proud romantic name to call its own, just as the mountain itself was once lush and verdant in the ancient past. But after the nail that froze the skies had descended upon this mountain, the festive site where priests ascended to face the heavens could no longer hear its voice, nor will those priests ever return again. Quite the description, ladies and gentlemen. Next monument. Okay. So this says here, the princess dreamed of the black dragon that blotted out the sky and knew it to be an omen of doom. That same month, the Outlander, ellipsis, I assume what they're saying is that same month the Outlander left to go and find help, but people see that as like a betrayal. So, you know, it is what it is. So she also foresaw Durin, which was hundreds of years before it happened, which is wild. Yeah, so for some people in chat that were mentioning it, this is actually the room that you have to put the 3 boxes, the princess box, the priest box, the scribes box. You open this door, and there's a treasure chest here that gives you like a crimson agate, and this is what you get, the 7th plate. Guided to where the pale white tree stood that month, the underground waterway, ... Don't know what it's referring to here. Don't really know the significance of the underground waterway, so I can't really comment on that. Oh my god, it's right there, chat! Yeah, so this girl was born under this tree, which originally was destroyed prior to Dvalin and Durin's battle. Your offerings have been acknowledged, for better or for worse. Celestia's like, hey, we're watching you. And this is the last one. Ellipsis ended. There was no need for records, yet I regret nothing more than having been unable to watch her finish the fresco within that great hall. And that is all of the additional flavor text in Lore of Salvindagnir, but I'm gonna hit you guys with one final gut punch. Something that some of you guys might know, some of you guys might not know, but is a real treat if you actually did all of this research and explored thoroughly enough. Remember during version 2.6, where it was basically confirmed that the hilly churls were the result of Conria's destruction, and like most of the hilly churls that befell Conria turned into hilly churls themselves, like the citizens and whatnot. We had early conversations and discussions of that before it was confirmed, but Hoyoverse actually put this in the game before that was ever announced. If you've ever come across this Lawachurl actually has a name, and the last person to survive Salvindagnir before quote-unquote dying was Ukko the Scribe. And when you come up to this hilly churl, his name is Ukko. This is the Scribe of Salvindagnir that has turned into a hilly churl through, I guess, the process of just being exposed to the elements, being exposed to Durin, etc., etc. And so now it's just big chillin' here. I'm not gonna fight it. I'm not gonna kill it. This man has suffered enough. I'm gonna leave him be. I'm gonna leave him in peace. I'm probably gonna die from this fucking sheer cold. But I just wanted to let you guys know that if you didn't know, that Hoyoverse pretty much confirmed long time ago that humans turn into hilly churls. Took us until 2.6 for the game to verbally say it, but I think that's like one of the coolest parts of the lore. You can learn so much about the future patches, future events. I know I've called a lot of things in the game, Albedo and Dvalin being related, but the only way I could have ever come to that conclusion is if I read shit in the game. I just really appreciate the level of attention to detail and the level of writing. Like, and they just put it in there and they don't expect majority of their audience to care. But for the people like me that do care, I feel like it makes me appreciate the world and the lore a lot more than someone who is just playing it for the combat or just playing it for the rewards or the primo gems or the dopamine or whatever the case might be. So yeah, in a nutshell, that is the history and lore of Salvindagnir. We're gonna be getting into the history and lore of Durin and Dvalin next, so that should be exciting. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it.